while. My hair is a lot longer. Nope. Bad hair day. Hi guys, it's been a while. Welcome back to Casey's Corner. I have been living life, just kind of doing my day-to-day stuff, but I wanted to get back to you because I have a new litter of kittens. They are the 3's company litter, Jack, Chrissy, and Janet, and they are 3.5 weeks old. So this is the youngest litter that I've had yet. I actually had the first litter, which was Jazz, Smokey, and Ginger. Then I actually had a second litter around Christmas time, Nutmeg and Chestnut. They were 2 little Christmas kittens that I took care of for about 2 to 3 weeks. They were almost ready to have their surgeries when I fostered them. And now I have these 3 little guys that are just, man, they're tiny. I was a little apprehensive about taking in these kittens because they were so young. They are in the process of being weaned from milk to solid food. They call them Gruelies. They're fed gruel via a syringe. And syringe feed them ideally 4 times a day, but because of work, it might be 3 times a day. It's been a mess the first couple of times. Everyone's kind of getting the hang of it now. We're knowing what to expect, but it definitely is something new and something that I want to highlight to show you guys. It sounds intimidating, it looks a little intimidating, but by a couple of tries in, you should be getting the hang of it, and so should the kitties. The reason why you haven't heard from me in a while is because, like I said, my last litter that I had was in Christmas, and now we are in full-blown kitten season. That sounds like a magical time for everyone. You hear the words kitten season and you're thinking, hooray, kittens everywhere. But really, for the people who are in, rescue and animal fostering, this is the time where the volunteers and the fosters and the coordinators and the employees really batten down the hatches and start getting things ready, because there are going to be an influx of kittens who are looking for a home. The kitten season usually happens during the warmer months. Cat goes into heat when the weather warms up, and as you know, we've had a pretty cold winter here in Texas, and it's been pretty long. When female cats are ready to reproduce and have little baby kittens, they go into heat, and I believe the gestation period is around 60 days, and then the kittens come out, and there's a literal boom of kittens, which is why it is so important to spay and neuter your pets when you get them. As our good friend Bob Barker said, to help control the pet population, I don't know if you can hear one of them right now. It's getting close to feeding time. I decided that I was ready to take in another litter, and I think it's very cute that my 3rd litter is 3's company. Can you hear that? They've woken up from their nap. They've been sleeping for a couple of hours. I gave them a feeding around 1 o'clock today, and it's nearing 4 or 5, so I'm gonna start getting their meals ready. Kitten season is a very busy time for everyone, and so I knew that as the temperature started going up, I would be getting an email requesting foster. So yesterday, I got an email saying that there was a litter of 9 kittens that came in, and so I grabbed up 3 of them. I'm still a little hesitant to take more than 3. The 2 that I had during Christmas time, easy breezy, no problems whatsoever. My first litter that I had, which was Ginger, Smokey, and Jazz, had a recurrent upper respiratory infection, so we had to go back a couple of times for them to get more antibiotics. But this litter right now that I have, they are doing great. They're already litter trained, so they've been using the litter box pretty well. They still try to see if they can eat the litter. Again, they do that and they spit it out and they realize, oh, that's not food, that doesn't taste good. But the biggest challenge right now is the syringe feeding. Not to say that it's impossible to do, because they're eating most of it, but that isn't to say that a lot of the gruel gets everywhere. The first night, last night, when I fed them their first round of gruel, more of it ended up on my arms and on my pants, and it was on their fur everywhere, like all over their face. It was a disaster. But that isn't to say, you know, impossible for us to get through it. We persevered. Their little tummies were full and everyone was happy. And I will show you how I prepare the gruel to get these little guys' dinner, and we'll join them for dinner time. Well, hello from Casey's cooking corner. We are going to be making the delicious gruel for the kittens. There are a couple of different variations and recipes that are out there in YouTube world. This is what my animal shelter recommended for my kittens and future gruely babies. That's what they're called. You need something that will be able to blend the kitten wet food and the water together. So I have my NutriBullet, and you of course will need the kitten food. So you want to get a wet kitten food, and just because some of the fosters during Christmas potluck that we had, they were saying that cats especially are very drawn to stinky fish kind of thing. So for the kitten food that I went with, I just went with Purina One's True Instinct in tuna. So the first time that I attempted to make the gruel, the ratio wasn't right. So it was a little too chunky, and when I was trying to load the syringe, it like and then stopped, and there was a big chunk of kitten food that just kind of plugged where you load the syringe from. So I went back to the drawing board and I tried it again, and my second attempt was much more successful. I actually have a pre-made gruel that I made last night, and if you see, it actually looks very similar to a Frosty that you would get from Wendy's. It's not too watery, but the consistency is pretty smooth. There's not really any chunks or anything in that. I will put 2 cans of kitten food with 1 can of water, and I blend that up really, 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 really well, and voila, you've got kitten gruel. I'm going to take 1 can,
Yeah, you want some of this too?
I gotta give a little to Marty.
Come here, Marty.
My animals, Beignet and Marty, I'll show. You gotta give some love to the resident animals because, you know, they're so special. It takes a little bit for Marty to warm up to the guys, but she eventually comes around. Beignet, on the other hand, he loves being a big brother to the little kittens, so he's such a good boy.
Are you a good big foster brother? Do you like being a big brother to the kittens?
So we've put the kitten food into the little container. Now I'm gonna fill this up with water, and then we're gonna put that into the mixture. Seal this tight. this in the fridge, make batches as I go so that I don't have to keep doing this over and over and over for every single feeding. Hi. So yeah, that's it. As I mentioned earlier, I like to make the gruel in batches, but you don't want to serve the kittens cold gruel. So what I'll do is I'll nuke up the one batch that I am feeding my kittens in the microwave at about 7-second increments just to bring it back up to warm. And I will preload the syringes before feeding each kitten so that I can be armed and ready and they're not waiting too long between each set of syringes. The first night that I was feeding the kittens, we did it all together in the bathroom and it was mayhem. So I moved the feedings out onto the dining room table one at a time and it's been much smoother. Here's Marty checking out Janet, I think. Not a fan yet, but she's getting used to them. But being able to do each kitten individually on the dining room table has made it much less messy. It's always important to keep track of your kitten's weights, but especially now as I am trying to transition them from milk/formula to solid food, I will weigh each kitten before and after the feeding. Currently, each of them are taking about 15 milliliters of gruel, which roughly translates to 5 syringe feedings.
Aww. What?
So what's actually really cute and fun about syringe feeding these little kitties is seeing they each have their own individual eating style. As you can see from this one, I'm not quite sure if this is Janet or Chrissy, but she's a very neat eater. She's not particularly messy. She's very dainty, and she's not making a huge mess here, which I appreciate.
This is Jack. Oh, hi. Okay, Jack.
And as you can see here, Jack is a wild man. Big Boy is just devouring it as much as he can. He is always in seventh heaven when it's time to eat dinner. So what I'm going to start doing now is introducing a shallow plate for the kitten to eat off of, just so that he can get used to actually being able to eat the food on his own and independently without being fed a syringe. But sometimes he'll go back to the syringe, and sometimes he'll decide to put his little paw into the gruel.
Oh my goodness, look at you. Look how dirty you are. Okay.
So as you can see, it is a pretty messy process. This is the aftermath. It is just gruel carnage. Let's just say I do a lot more laundry than I'm used to doing, and by that I mean more than once a week. These kitties are keeping me on a very tight cleaning schedule. Gotta do what you gotta do, you know? And this video has come to an end. Guys, thank you so much for watching. It feels really great to be back. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to ask below. It's been great being back, and I can't wait to see you guys next time. Thanks. Bye.